Before I start, the title is Driving Miss Sharon. I love to drive. I love to drive. In fact, in my family, whenever we go someplace, and we usually drive on vacation, I do all the driving. That's just a given. I like to be in control of the car. I've been driving for a lot of years. Not as many years as any of you have been alive, but a lot of years. And as much as I love driving, when I first started, for the first few years, there were two things about driving that just scared the bejeebers out of me. Two. One was mountain roads, which we have a lot of in California. Two was bridges, which, believe it or not, we also have quite a few in California. And those things just terrified me. I would do it because I needed to get wherever I was going, but it was this. And of course, you'd be so exhausted when you finally get there. So, what changed it for me, or at least for the mountains, I was on my way to Santa Cruz, I think, Monterey, one of those. Driving down 880, turns into 17, and so here we're going. And I'm creeping along in my position, 10 and 2, crouch forward, paying attention to the road. And people are whizzing by me, shoom, shoom, shoom. You know, those pickups, jacked up guys, you know, giving you the signal as they pass you by once they can get around you. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not going any faster. Just like I always thought, oh, he can drive like that because he lives up here. And he does this all the time. And one day this voice said, did you hear what you just said? He can do this because he lives here. And he does it all the time. What does that tell you? He knows what he's doing. And if you want to learn how to do something, what do? What's the best way? Find somebody who knows what they're doing, right? Right? And of course, when you're really fancy, you call that a mentor. Yes? Okay. So here I have my car. And I see these pickups whizzing by me. And I think, no, those guys are crazy. But then I see a Toyota. And it also passed me, but it passed at a reasonable speed. And it goes into the curve and kind of sails around. And it sails around. I thought, oh, okay. Not only does that guy know what he's doing, but he's doing it in a reasonable, safe, responsible way. I can learn from him or her, that driver. I said, okay. So I moved up. I said, when he slows down, you slow down. When he hits his brakes, you hit your brakes. And we'll follow the way. And that's what I did. And I actually made it through the mountains. Wow. So every time after that, for months, when I would have to drive on a mountain road, I'd find someone who looked sane, not those idiots in the pickup trucks, and I would follow them. And what they did, I would do. And finally, not only was I able to actually get through the mountains in a reasonable time, I was also reasonably relaxed when I was done. So that day I learned a very important lesson. If you really want to do something, if you need to do something, if you are afraid of doing something, look around for someone who is sane, competent, and reasonable, and do exactly what they do. Wow, what a concept. Do what they do. And that's what all of us need to do, right? That's what I do, or I need to do. And I'm encouraging you all to do the same. Find someone confident, reasonable, sane, competent, especially, and then do exactly what they do. Because, once again, experience is not necessarily the best teacher, it's merely the most painful. Then there's an let. Don't reinvent the wheel. They've already been there, they've already done it. Andre mentioned youth leadership. I can do youth leadership because I had two wonderful examples when I first started. And I just did what they did until I knew the system or the process well enough that I could make it my own and add my own personal touch to the system. Don't you hate it when you train someone at work or wherever and they have all the answers? You're trying to show them it's their first day at work or whatever, and yet everything, and not questioning for information, but questioning your competence and your ability to impart information. Don't you just love that? That's the one you want to throw back in and let them sink or swim on their own. Hopefully sink. Not always a nice person up here. So, once again, find that person, follow what they do until you can get it well enough to do it on your own. Which brings me to my second terror of driving, and that is bridges. Bridges. That was worse than mountains. And one year we were on vacation. We went to Seattle and Portland. People have been to Seattle and Portland? Is it possible to navigate those cities without going over at least one bridge? It is not. In fact, I think it's Seattle. If you look at it from a distance, it looks like Great America. Everywhere you see spans are really high up, and some of the bridges are really old, so they're made for like carriages, I think, and buggies. We're in Seattle. I found that I can't handle it anymore. So I pull a car to the first safe place, and I get out and I tell my sister, I'm sorry, but you have to drive. I can't do this. She wasn't happy, but she gets into the driver's seat, and I get in the back seat, close my eyes. Because I don't really trust her driving either. But I know I can't take it anymore. My nerves won't handle it for another minute. Fast forward, a year or two later, I get a job in Palo Alto. Now I live in Fremont. And for those of you who know the area, is there any sane, reasonable way to get from Fremont to Palo Alto without going across a bridge? So every morning when I get to work, I'm practically soaking with sweat. I'm all tensed up and cramped up and of course I'm driving during commute hour. So what is probably a 10-15 minute drive across the bridge is more like 35, 45 or more some mornings. Was a nightmare. Nightmare. Once again, one day, I'm driving across the bridge. Traffic is fairly light, so there's really no reason for me to be creeping along in the middle lane, blocking traffic once again, with people trying to, because they see open road, and they're ready to go. Once again, well, they can do that because they drive this bridge every day. Once again, voice, only this time the voice asks me, Sharon, what's the purpose of being on this bridge? What's the goal here? Well, my goal is obviously to get to work, to get to my destination. And then the voice said, well, how long do you want to take to get there? Well, I don't want to take any time at all, but I don't have a choice. Exactly. You don't have a choice. There's no other option. So it's this bridge every morning, every afternoon, until things change. So how you handle that is a decision that you need to make. Okay. All right, the goal is to get on this bridge and get off it. I'm not doing myself any favor by creeping along 10 miles below the speed limit. Not to mention I'm probably a danger on the bridge. So I need to learn to at least move with the traffic and not worry about my car becoming Christine and developing this evil spirit. It's going to suddenly make a right turn and drag my car off the bridge. Because that's what I think Zig Ziglar said, fear, false evidence appears real. So all these scenarios I have in my brain, none of that's going to happen. Tens of thousands of people drive that bridge every single day. And somehow they manage to get from point A to point B uneventfully. So what's holding you back? Nothing real. So with that realization, I had no excuse. So I would practice every day, getting on that bridge, focusing on the goal, and then not letting any other thoughts come into my brain except that I needed to keep my car focused. I'll get a little faster every day. Didn't happen overnight. It took some time. So I could finally move confidently across the bridge. Now, of course, oh well, don't get in my way. Because another thing I remember from when my mother, when we were kids, and probably your parents did it too, and that was the get your homework done, clean up your room, then you can go outside and play. Well, the faster I got over that bridge, the faster the experience was over. So ladies and gentlemen, 2 things I learned from driving. Find someone competent, reasonable, sane, do exactly what they do, make it your own, then you can add all the touches you want. 2, the best way to get through something hard and difficult is to get started, get it done, get it over with. That makes life so much simpler. Mr. Toastmaster.